Welcome to another episode of the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. It is Friday, September 9th, 2022. I am once again joined alongside my dad. How you doing today, Dad?
I'm fine, thank you.
Well,
I'm excited now.
yeah, the first
season's-
game of the NFL regular season began last night. It was the Bills up against the Rams at Rams. Bills were favored against the Rams by -2.5. Let's start by talking about the game. So, the Bills absolutely crushed the Rams 31-10 in LA against the defending champion Los Angeles Rams, who beat the Bengals last year, as we all know. Aaron Donald coming in very, very clutch against the Bengals in the Super Bowl last year. It turned out that Aaron Donald gave his retirement letter to the Rams, but it did not submit it to the NFL, so he wasn't officially retired. But he still was essentially retired, came back. They lost OBJ. They got Allen Robinson. Cooper Kupp still looks like Cooper Kupp. Allen Robinson was only targeted one time, though. Really, it was two, but it was like a horrible throw, not really, intended to be caught. Caught one ball for 12 yards, so he really was no factor at all. What was your reaction to the Bills? Are you more surprised by the Bills' dominance or the Rams' just poor performance?
Well, I picked the Rams to win the game, so
You did.
I was surprised. At the point spread, the Bills blew them away. And, the Rams are a team that it's quite an offensive team last year, right? They had a very good offense. They looked terrible last night because I think it's more because the Bills' defense is just great, right? Von Miller on the team. Wow. They were scary good. I was a bit shocked. And the Bills' offense looked very good. I don't know if that's so much that the Rams' defense was poor. I mean, Jalen Ramsey played awful, right? Aaron Donald played well, but they couldn't stop the Bills. They were going right up and down the field. So I was surprised. I do have the Bills winning the AFC East this year, so I think they're going to win a lot of games, but I didn't think they were going to win last night because the Rams were at home. A lot of people were picking the Rams, even though the point spread had, it was favoring the Bills. So, I'm disappointed I'm 0-1, but I'm hoping to do better this weekend.
There was a lot of shock for me, especially because it's week one. The Bills are the Super Bowl favorites right now. As they should be. They were amazing last year. All their wins, I'm pretty sure all of their wins came in absolute blowouts of 10 points or more. That's what the Bills are. I'm more shocked. I think I have the clip up right now. We could probably do it. I could bring it up. Here it is. This is the first 10 plays for the Bills, or first 10 passing plays. Josh Allen completed his first 10 passes. And some of them are checkdowns, but there are some that are in very, very tight windows. And there is a theme that I'm actually going to talk about in the next one. But these are some good passes, some back shoulder passes, attacking Jalen Ramsey, which is very, very impressive because he was considered arguably the number one corner last year. That was a beautiful pass to Zach Moss on the right side. But he completed his first 10 passes against the Rams defense. And this is a beautiful bootleg out to Gabriel Davis for a touchdown. But I forget if this is the one. No, this is just a great back shoulder pass to Stephon Diggs. You see that right there? Sort of a tight window there. But there was a pass. I think it might be the next one. His first incompletion was an interception because Isaiah McKenzie could not hold on to the football.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
That wasn't Josh Allen's fault.
No, not at all. He could have gone like that one was against Jalen. That was Jalen Ramsey's coverage that he forgot to, I guess, cover, but. Like most of these were honestly, behind the line or, short, shallow routes. I think this might actually be the interception right here. No, that's just another pass to Stephon Diggs. But he completed his first 10, which is impressive against, here's the interception right now. It bounced out of Isaiah McKenzie's hands. Not his fault at all. We can see it right here, bounced up and right into the linebacker's arms. If he held it
hang on to it.
Yeah, and this is just another great Josh Allen moment. I didn't actually mean for this clip to be in here, but Josh Allen's making plays in this game. That's over Bobby Wagner. He's dunking over Bobby Wagner. He's diving. He put his body on the line several times throughout the game, So it's just, I mean, just look at that. The
He's
tremendous
a big boy. You know, he's the size of a linebacker.
Yeah, I think I'd probably give him. I think he's listed as 240, 6'5", 240. I would probably put him at closer to, probably 250. He's like a tank. He's like an absolute tank. So
Yeah, he's pretty quick too for his size.
he's very, very quick for his size. But I want to also talk about the horrible. Okay, so here's my thing. I argued all of last year that J.C. Jackson got snubbed for All-Pro first team. They gave it to Trayvon Diggs. It is what it is. So be it. And people are arguing that Jalen Ramsey is the number one corner in the past, well, I want to say 2-3 years. Especially last year, people were considering the number one corner. I didn't think so. I would give it to J.C. Jackson because he has a lower completion. The quarterbacks have a lower completion percentage when targeting him. He has allowed less. He has more targets towards him, more drops or more incompletions, I should say. Less touchdowns thrown. It might be the same amount of touchdowns thrown on him, but he is just more of a lockdown defender. And last night really showed why I really think this. Yeah, let's bring up a clip of Jalen Ramsey. They targeted him, which was shocking to me. Look, this is a beautiful pass by Josh Allen on Stephon Diggs. One-on-one coverage, he's pressing him. Jalen Ramsey gets ahead of himself, doesn't even turn around. Stephon Diggs is just that quick. Here's one. Is this one to... Yeah, this one, this is Jalen Ramsey's zone that he should be covering. That was to Jamison Crowder, former Jet. And this one, you see Jalen Ramsey at the very bottom pointing, saying, "Oh, I got you, Stephon Diggs." And in the very, very next drive, Stephon Diggs blows right by him. This was his coverage. This was his man. Blows right by him for a touchdown and points right back at him. Right back at him. There's this another angle of it right now. Jalen Ramsey doesn't realize it. But that it's just, look at this. It's something else. The Bills are a tremendous team. There's a reason why they're the Super Bowl favorite. This is the exact reason why. Just they're making plays. They're blowing teams out consistently. So I'm sort of surprised that it was against the defending champs, how they absolutely exploded. Josh Allen, almost 300 yards, only incomplete. He had 2 interceptions. 3 were just regular incompletions. Then he had a total incompletion.
His second interception was a bit of a mistake on his part.
Right. No,
I mean, he's got 2 interceptions now in the first game, so he's had an issue in his earlier years.
He was towards the top for turnovers last year as well, but Matt Stafford was tied for the most. So these are both 2 turnover machines, if you want to put it that way, but they're each very, very efficient. And the last thing I want to say is the last bit of, I guess, evidence I have for the Rams just absolutely having a horrible performance is Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford did not look very good. That's an old clip.
Didn't he have 3 interceptions?
He had 3 interceptions. Look, this one was just a horrible throw, way behind him. I don't know what he was thinking. Wrong route, maybe. Great pickoff there. I think this is just another angle of it. Yeah. This is his second interception. This is just a bad throw. That was a horrible throw. I don't know. He disconnected on a lot of throws. I think this is another disconnect over here. I don't know what was going on there. That was thrown about 10 yards in front of him. I think this is his no-look interception. Yeah. A lot of NFL quarterbacks, they decided to do now no-look passes, and in the Super Bowl, Matt Stafford did a no-look pass.
That was a tip, that one.
Right, no, but look, Matt Stafford isn't even looking at him. He sails over him. Cooper Kupp can't get a hold on it, and that's picked off. Very bad pass. And this route didn't even make a lot of sense to me because I believe number 49 on the Bills is Tremaine Edmonds. Edmonds was all over Matthew Stafford's target. Like, look, he's right there. He could have, honestly, number 49 probably could have picked it off if he actually threw it. But I don't like the Rams. Rams, I think I have the number 1 seed. I think that's where I had them in my standings. And I think they still deserve to be the number 1 seed. It's just I'm a little bit shaken by this. I think Sean McVay won his past 5 opening day games, and now he's losing one to this. People are saying this is a Super Bowl matchup. After today, after seeing how Jalen Ramsey looks, how he can get cooked. I mean, he was targeted 8 times, 6 catches, a perfect passer rating when thrown to him, and he allowed 2 touchdowns in week 1. I'm a little bit worried if I'm a Rams fan because this is not a good sign for what's to come.
Oh, Jalen Ramsey gave up that long touchdown to Mike Evans in the playoff game against the Bucs last year too. Yeah, well, maybe he's not all he's cracked up to be.
I would still put him probably top 3.
Yeah. Well, they target him a lot. Apparently, they don't think he's that good either.
Well, I just think they want to test how good he really is.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, what it seemed like, and recently, it seems like he can get burned a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm not discrediting. I understand what Jalen Ramsey's all about. He's still in my top 3. You could probably argue for the 2 spot between him and Jair Alexander from Green Bay. I would say they could probably battle out. But my number 1 is J.C. Jackson.
Yeah.
Who is reportedly
hurt, right?
Yeah, there's a very decent chance that he could be out this Sunday against the Raiders. So we will talk about that game in our picks. But let's move on topics unless you have anything else to say. Andy.
No, disappointed the Rams lost and a little surprised. But I do think the Bills are a very, very good team. I have them winning the AFC East this year.
You do?
Yeah.
Let's move on to our next topic. Let's move on to all this one. We got some breaking news. We've talked about this probably 3 or 4 times on the show since the news broke. But today was the deadline for Lamar and the Ravens to come to an agreement of Lamar's contract, his extension. They could not come to an agreement, and thus Lamar will be finishing up his rookie deal and not have any long-term security. So I'm going to ask you, should Lamar still play on his rookie deal with the chance that he can get hurt, and that could be very bad for him, or do you think he should wait it out and try to get the extension that he rightfully deserves?
I think he waits it out.
You really think he waits it out?
And plays, yeah. I don't think he should sit because...
well, that's what waiting it out is. He would hold out. That's what I mean.
Oh, he's going to hold out, but,
holding out means he does not play.
Oh, no. I think he should play. And I'm sure he will. Because he's a talent, and if he's got that confidence in himself, he thinks he can have a great year this year, then he only improves his value. So... I think we talked about this the other night. I think he should have an agent to help him. And he has his mother helping him,
it's him and his mom.
And I don't think the Ravens probably respect that much, that he's doing it himself. They're used to dealing with agents. So, I mean, he's trying to save himself a little money, but you're penny wise and pound foolish here. The agent's fee isn't going to be that much if he can land you a $250 million contract with most of it guaranteed, which is kind of what's out there these days. So I feel bad for him. I like Lamar Jackson. I think he deserves a big contract, and now he'll have to risk it, play, and see what happens. Now, the Ravens could strike a deal with him in the middle of the season if they want.
They're not going to talk throughout the season.
They said that.
Yep.
They've already said that.
Yep, Lamar Jackson will not talk contracts throughout the season.
Oh, he said that. Lamar Jackson.
And they agreed to not talk about it with him. So right now, Lamar's scheduled to make a little over $23 million this year. If the Ravens decide to franchise tag him, the franchise tag for quarterbacks goes up to $45.7 million this next offseason. So the Ravens could decide to franchise tag him and then start to make a deal throughout the offseason. But the last time a Ravens quarterback did this was 2012 with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco went out there without a contract, finishing up his deal, and ended up winning the Super Bowl. And that kind of screwed him over after the extension because he got top dollar, and then he ended up not being as good. I think he got hurt a couple of times.
I'm sure he got happy he got top dollar.
Oh, absolutely. So I have a problem with Lamar. I have a problem with Lamar going out and playing, and this isn't necessarily a knock on Lamar, but his legs is his career. He is built. His gameplay, his game style is built on running the football. He is not a pass-first quarterback. His job, in his mind, and the Ravens have accepted this and built his team around him. That's why, when people say, he doesn't have a lot of weapons, it's because they're developing the offensive line and they're developing the running backs because they're a run-first team. Lamar's career is right now centered around the health of his legs. And he's got a leg injury last year, so it might knock him out. Like right now, if I was Lamar, I wouldn't play because if I get hurt, they might get rid of me because now I'm prone to I didn't develop my game because I'm not as good of a thrower as I could be, as I should be. My game is strictly based on running the football, and if I have a leg injury, I can't run the football. So Michael
Well,
Vick.
he probably doesn't want to give up the $24 million. I mean, that's important too to him. I mean, that's not chicken feed, right? $24 million is a lot. He wouldn't get that if he didn't play.
That's a guaranteed contract.
No, they would sue him. I mean, if he didn't play, he's not honoring his contract. They can void it. I'm pretty sure. That's breach of contract, right? So they can't do that. He can't do that.
I would still hold out. I wouldn't play. I would make it very difficult for the Ravens to try to get rid of me, because you know what? The team is built for me. This is the best situation for me. They built for me when I came here. John Harbaugh said, "This is your team. We'll build around you, your play style," and that's exactly what they did. I would be very, very nervous if I was Lamar, because I do have to realize I'm going out there unsecured, and I'm going out there potentially risking my entire career because I can't get $250 million fully guaranteed.
Well, Dak Prescott did it.
And he had a compound fracture in his ankle.
No, but then the next year he played for. Did he get his big contract?
Yeah, he got a big contract next year, and the Jerry Jones admitted that he overpaid for him. Because the first year, last year,
he was worth it. I think.
I don't think he's worth it. He's not even in my. He's not a top 10 quarterback. Yeah. He ain't in my top 10.
Well, how big is his contract?
Well, last year, he, with the signing bonus, with the first year salary, made $75 million last year.
Well, he did get him to the playoffs,
and he choked in the playoffs.
But he had a good year, right? I mean, wasn't his stats are right up there.
He didn't have that bad of a year, but
I think he had a good year.
I just think, really, that Lamar, I think Lamar's probably hoping for something closer to Deshaun Watson, and the Ravens are probably giving him closer to something of Kyler Murray or Russell Wilson, when you do have to realize that the Browns are not trendsetters in the NFL. You should not be thinking about, if Deshaun Watson got this, that means that's what I deserve. I think that's unfair to the Browns. I think that's unfair to the Ravens. I think that's unfair to the entire NFL, because quarterbacks are going to be looking at the Deshaun Watson contract and say, well, if he's this type of person, I'm better than him on the field and off the field, and he got $230 million guaranteed, I think I should get $235, $240. Yeah. Or in Lamar's case, he's shooting for probably $250 million guaranteed. I said this before. I would probably give him, let's say, I think I said 5 years, $60 million per year. I would guarantee 75 to 80% of whatever that math totals up to. But I mean, that's what I mean. I mean, Lamar is the greatest two-way player the NFL has ever seen. I would probably put Michael Vick and Cam Newton could battle out for second, but I think that Lamar Jackson is right there. He's the greatest two-way player. He's had a couple, I think it's 1,000-yard rushing season with 3,000 passing yards. I think that's the first time that's ever been done in NFL history. He was a unanimous MVP in 2019. He's not great in the playoffs, but he's only made it to there 3 times. Or maybe, I think it was 3 times. Lost 2, won 1, or I guess lost 3 games because he made it to the first, made it out of the first round the last time he was in it. But you know what? I think I would not shoot for a Deshaun Watson type deal just because it's the Browns. They haven't known what the hell they're doing in decades, so it's just I don't. That's
an anomaly. It's a fluke.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a tremendous.
It was a huge mistake.
No, yeah. The Dak Prescott deal was 4 years, $160 million, $66 million signing bonus, $126 million guaranteed.
Not bad.
No, not bad at all. But I mean, it's still.
I mean, in those numbers, you get up into those numbers, right? I mean, taxes are going to take quite a bit out of it, but he's in Texas, so there's no state income tax.
Right.
So the federal tax is going to take, 37% of it. He's still left with more money than he ever know what to do with.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he's set for life. All he has to do is invest that in a treasury bond, and the interest on it is going to pay more than he can spend any year, depending on what he wants to do. So these guys holding out for this kind of money, to me, is more like ego than anything. If you get a contract even like Dak Prescott, you look at Dak Prescott's deal, you say, yeah, it's not that great a deal now when you compare it to the others, right? But still, it sets him up for life, no problem. Well, he's got more money than he ever know what to do with.
A lot of teams, when they know that, like, Josh Allen got signed early, Patrick Mahomes got signed early, when you know that this is your guy, you want to pay him as soon as possible because the market will just keep going up and up and up. We have, I think, at one point, Jimmy G was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, making like $35 million in 1 year. Now, it's
Aaron Rodgers.
It's like $50 million a year.
Yeah.
And that's only like
crazy.
6 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah, well,
so it's just going
we'll
to keep
see
going
how
up
those
and up.
teams do with the quarterbacks making that kind of money. It does a number on the rest of the salaries, and
No, it does.
and it affects the rest of the team. You never saw Tom Brady do that. He always he was restructuring his contract most of the time so they could tire the other guys so they could make it to the Super Bowl, and that was a good strategy too. Now he's got a deal after he finishes football for $375 million. That's not bad.
Not at all. Not at all. So
he had the long-term perspective. I'd say that paid off. It's going to pay off for him pretty well, right?
Well, I mean, I'm sure he didn't have a perspective of joining Fox as a lead analyst and call games, but I think he understood what it meant to win, and that's sacrificing some of your salary in order to get the talent around you. That's why I think these quarterbacks going for $50 million a year, $45 million a year, like Aaron Rodgers. I think they could have gotten a B+ to A- receiver in the offseason. But you're giving Aaron Rodgers over $50 million a year for 3 years. You can't afford anybody.
Yeah.
That's why, paying your quarterback this much, you're gonna need to sacrifice some of your team. Because you won't be able to get all A's or all B's. You might have to have a C- in there. You might have a B- when you should have A's.
Your depth is not going to be as good.
Of course not. Of course not.
Yeah.
That's why something you bring up Tom Brady. Tom Brady took pay cuts. That was able to get him. Usually it was B+ to B receivers, but there were so many of them that there was no real drop
He had
off.
a good offensive line.
The offensive line was always amazing.
Yeah.
And early in his career, when Brady wasn't making
why he's
much,
still
the
standing.
defense was great. The defense was allowed to be good. So that's why whenever someone says
They
Brady,
always had pretty good running backs too.
yeah, well, Sony Michel turned out to be a little bit of an iffy.
Yeah,
after
he
his
was all
rookie year.
right. They won a Super Bowl with him.
They did, but then after that, he was
The
never
game
really
we
the
saw,
same.
the Chargers game we went to, he had a great game.
He had a phenomenal game. But like when people bring up Tom Brady and say, you know what, he never won a Super Bowl with a below top 10 defense. Well, that's because, you weren't paying him $45 million to play quarterback. You were paying him $25 million. You know what? Sometimes you're paying him $17 million just to be your quarterback. And that's the reason why your defenses were this good, because you could spend more money elsewhere besides your quarterback, because your quarterback is taking less.
Plus, you have Belichick as your coach.
Of course. And combine great talent with Belichick, that's a perfect defense, because you have great players coached by the greatest defensive head coach of all time.
Yeah.
So, I think with this Lamar situation, he's playing his cards. The past two Ravens quarterbacks have done that. Joe Flacco went out, won a Super Bowl. I think if the Ravens stay healthy, their defense looks really, really good, especially their secondary. Looks
You can
very,
bet
very
Lamar is going to try his best.
Which it could be a plus, it could be a minus, because if you try your best, you have a higher chance of getting hurt.
That's the risk.
Josh Allen took some hits that I don't think a lot of quarterbacks can take without getting hurt. He was getting pounded into the ground. He, got stomped on by Aaron Donald in a sack very early on. But it's, if Lamar wants to play this card, I'd say let him.
He's got his contract.
Yeah.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen's, $460 million over the next 10 years, something like that. It's
unbelievable.
It's a lot of money. But you know what? The Bills have found their guy. Josh Allen looks, better every single year.
He looked like he was worth it last night.
Oh, absolutely. He played great. But this, who knows what Lamar will do? He'll play this year. I think it really depends, because you could franchise tag him, I think, 3 times. So the next 3 years you could franchise tag him. But I think after this one, let's say they franchise tag him in this next offseason, I think Lamar won't sign it the next couple of years, because he'll be like, these quarterbacks, probably next year you'll have quarterback, if someone needs an extension, well, a quarterback might be making $52 million a year. And then if you come around next offseason, you'll be like, well, I'm making $47 million on this franchise tag. The next quarterback's I'm better than a quarterback making $51-52 million a year. So he might not sign to saying, you know what, give me a contract, or you know what, I'll walk. Someone will pay me the money. And then another thing is, when you have an intermediate, right? When you have someone in between you and the organization you're working for, they can ease the pain of not hearing the offer you want a little bit less. Because when you walk up to someone and say, I want so-and-so, and they say, no, we don't think you're worth it, that hurts a little more than your agent telling you, they don't think you're around this level, maybe we could talk about this number or that number, to sort of get a compromise in between. But Lamar's doing this himself. You know what? Which, you know what? I respect. You know, Bobby Wagner, he made his contract by himself. There's a number of players that do contracts by themselves, but they're not these long-term extensions that matter. Bobby Wagner's is, I think, a 1-year deal for $10 million or something like that. He's making $10 million a year. It's different when you're the franchise quarterback and you're expecting, you know, NFL record-breaking guaranteed money deal, or that's what's being reported at least. No numbers have actually been released, but it's just, you know what? It's risky business for both the Ravens and for Lamar Jackson. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in about a minute 30.
You have a lot to say. Maybe you've thought, I should start a podcast. Meet Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast ever. It's a powerful mobile app and web tool that lets you record a podcast anywhere and distribute it everywhere. It's great whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out. And it's 100% free. You can record your show straight into Anchor on your phone, iPad, or the web, using any mic you want. Record alone or with friends or co-hosts anywhere in the world. You can add background music and transitions, and your listeners can send you voice messages that you can incorporate right into your next episode. If you want to produce your show using another app, you can upload your own audio directly from web or mobile, and still take advantage of Anchor's totally free podcast hosting. Once your podcast is ready to publish, Anchor can automatically distribute it to every major podcast platform. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, so your listeners can hear your show wherever they want. And on the web, you can see detailed analytics about how people are listening. Plus, you'll get a great-looking profile page where anyone can listen to your podcast or subscribe to it. And if you want to ask your audience to support your work, Anchor makes it easy to collect monthly payments from the people who love your podcast and want to see it grow. You really don't need a recording studio, expensive equipment, or a bunch of technical knowledge to deal with a podcast feed. Just get started and join the diverse community of podcasters already on Anchor. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
Or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
Interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. Once again, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's enter our pick'em predictions for week one. Week one starts, what's today? Friday. Week one starts Sunday, opening up at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, we'll get into my picks, and then we'll get into your picks, and then we'll talk about it. Let's begin with my picks, though. My week one picks, I started off really well with picking the Bills at -2.5, and we'll get to my Harvey hot topic, or Harvey hot hand. I'll tell you what 5 teams I think are the easiest teams to make your money on. But like I said, I picked the Bills at -2.5. I won that, so that's 1-0 for me immediately. Panthers, Browns, we talked about this. Baker Mayfield's revenge game against his former team. I think this is a pretty easy pick, actually. They actually moved the spread again. It was minus, I think, 2 at one point. Yesterday it was a -2 for the Panthers. Now the Panthers are underdogs at +0.5. I love that line so much that I mean, we're both picking them to win anyway, so the line didn't matter, but that's also a great pick. Steelers at Bengals. I'm taking the Bengals at -6.5. They're a tremendous team. The Steelers have Mitch Trubisky as their quarterback right now. Mitch Trubisky, yes, he has a winning record, but I just don't think he's really that guy. I don't think he's that top dog that could, go up against the Bengals defense, which I think could be underrated at times. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they're great weapons. So I think, easy Bengals at -6.5. It's a large spread, I know. I think like the next 3 are also very, very large spreads. But Let's continue. The Colts, I'm picking them at Texans at -7.5. That's a very, very big spread to pick, but I believe in it. Matt Ryan is an upgrade for the Colts over Carson Wentz, who lost to the Jaguars last year to actually get the Colts eliminated from playoff contention. But yeah, the Colts. Michael Pittman is now wide receiver 1 for the Colts. He's been wide receiver 1 after T.Y. Hilton decided, you know what, I don't know if I'm retiring or not. So I think Michael Pittman, he put up 1,000 yards last year. If I had to make a sort of a bold prediction for Michael Pittman, because he's playing with Matt Ryan, who looked a little old last year, but he didn't really have much talent around him last year. You know, his team wasn't like it used to be 3 years ago. I like Matt Ryan, a severe upgrade over Carson Wentz, like I said, but Michael Pittman, I think he'd probably get 1,300, 1,400 yards, you know, pushing probably 8 to 10 touchdowns. You still have Jonathan Taylor. You have Quentin Nelson on your offensive line. Your offensive line has always been good. The one scary thing is that Shaquille Leonard, Darius Leonard, he's out for the Sunday, so that could be a potential, you know, iffy thing. But you got Stephon Gilmore, who's looking phenomenal in practice, so your defense looks really good against the Texans. Hey, Davis Mills was considered the second best rookie quarterback last year. I watched a couple of his games. I think he looked pretty good, but I don't think anything up against the Colts. The Ravens over the Jets. This is an easy pick. Joe Flacco's revenge game will be spoiled because the Ravens are just too good. Ravens are -7.5 for me. Enough said, because it's the Jets. The Jets had the worst rushing defense last year, giving up 133.33 yards per game last year on the run game. It's embarrassing. The Ravens are probably one of, if not the best run team in the NFL. So I think the Ravens are actually going to curb stomp the Jets pretty easily. Chiefs, I'm picking them -6 at Arizona. Kyler Murray, you know, off-field issues. Cliff Kingsbury, we're still questioning his coaching ability. Do we trust it? Is he actually that good of a coach? Well, we'll see as the years go by. Kyler Murray, you know, we'll see how he turns out to be. He's without D-Hop. He's got Marquise Brown, who I'm not sure his health status. I'm just going to assume he's healthy. But you know what? I think the Chiefs are just too good. Travis Kelce will be the #1 target, of course. That's good for my fantasy team because I drafted him. But yeah, he's got a decent plethora of receivers. You know, the Chiefs are focusing on a lot of speed. I think Juju Smith-Schuster won't be great. He's definitely not a replacement for Tyreek Hill, but I think he'll be good enough for the Chiefs. The running game could be okay. I think it's upgraded. Their offensive line, they rebuilt it what seems like 3 times over the past 3 years. So we'll see how they still got Joe Tooney. We'll see how their offensive line is. Green Bay at Vikings. Vikings are somehow underdogs at home against a Green Bay wide receiver core that is B- at the very best. I would probably give it C to a C+. C+ might be pushing it a little bit, but I'm taking the Vikings at +2. I just think the Vikings are a more complete team. Their defense could be a little bit improved on, but I just think, you know what, Aaron Rodgers, I don't think will do much. You know, the Vikings always seem to play up against the Packers. Kirk Cousins always plays well against the Packers, and the Packers have a tough time on the road, especially Aaron Rodgers. The Bucs, Sunday Night Football. I have the Bucs winning, yes, and covering the spread at -2.5. It's Tom Brady. Tom Brady with Julio Jones. Chris Godwin's a game-time decision. He might play. Mike Evans, and you also have Russell Gage. I think, and Leonard Fournette seems to be pretty good. I think he cut down a lot of his weight that he came into training camp with. I like the Bucs a lot. It's Tom Brady. Their defense should be better, more experienced. Another year under the system. Todd Bowles, their head coach, who can focus a lot on the defense, call defensive plays, defensive schemes. So I think the Bucs get a win over Cowboys wide receiver core. Yes, they have CeeDee Lamb. Michael Gallup is still a huge question mark. Whether for injuries, they do have with the USFL was this spring. Yeah, they have the USFL MVP in their wide receiver core, who could be good. But once again, I just think it's Tom Brady. Tom Brady opening day is 6-0 against the Cowboys. He hasn't lost to the Cowboys yet, so I think it's an easy win for the Bucs. The Saints at -5.5 over at Atlanta. Atlanta has a bridge quarterback. The Saints have Jameis Winston. Michael Thomas might be ready to go. They have Chris Olave. He could be a really, really good receiver. They have Jarvis Landry. I just think they're the better team. -5.5 is a decently big spread, but I'll still take them. 49ers, -6.5 over the Bears. Bears, Justin Fields. I've been saying this a couple of times. The Bears have basically the retirement home and basically the landfill of wide receivers on their team. You know, teams don't want these receivers. The Bears pick them up. I just think the 49ers, if they had a solidified quarterback and not someone who's the rawest of the 2021 rookie class, they would be a Super Bowl favorite or Super Bowl team. At least the Super Bowl favorite in the NFC if they had a solidified quarterback. But yeah, I think this is a pretty easy pickup. We'll see how Trey Lance does, as long as he doesn't absolutely screw it up and have tremendous rookie mistakes, which he might because this is his first full year starting. Jimmy G might come in and save the day, but who knows? I'll still take the 49ers at -6.5. This one's a difficult one, but I'm sticking with the Eagles at -2.5. I like the Lions. I like them a lot, but I just think the Eagles, you know what? Like I said, my hot topic, my hot prediction, or whatever I called it, hot take was that the Eagles were the most bet team to make it to the NFC Championship and the favorite out of the NFC. I like their running game with the upgrade of A.J. Brown. They're looking good, looking really, really good, and they still have Devontae Smith. Their running game was the best last year in the NFL. I think they can continue that with a pretty good O-line as well. I'll take them at -2.5. Patriots at Dolphins. The Patriots have lost the last 4 out of 5 games against Miami. They don't play well in Miami, especially in September. Very, very hot, very, very humid. Patriots went down there a week early to try to get acclimated. That already tells you that the Patriots know they're not the better team. I think the Dolphins, you know what? Tua got Tyreek Hill, a tremendous player. We all know that. The argument is made to be whether or not he made Patrick Mahomes who he is right now. We'll see that this season. But yeah, Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, people don't really like him. I think he's a B. It's a B- tight end, pushing it maybe a little bit on that, but I still think they'll win a -3.5. Commanders and Jaguars. I'll take the Commanders at -2.5. Carson Wentz, I think, is slightly better than Trevor Lawrence right now. I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence won't be better eventually or throughout the year. I just think that the Commanders are a better team. They're a consistent team because they have Ron Rivera for another year. They have Terry McLaurin. Trevor Lawrence is coming with a new head coach of Doug Peterson. Travis Etienne, he's coming there for the first time after tearing his ACL last year. I believe he was in the preseason, might have been in training camp though. But I just think the Commanders, they'll get a slim win. I think they could definitely win by a field goal. Let's move on to the next one. I chose the Raiders in an upset, +3.5 over the LA Chargers, strictly because I think J.C. Jackson won't play. Yes, they have Derwin James. Yes, they have Asante Samuel Jr. It's Devontae Adams. It's Darren Waller. It's Hunter Renfrow. I believe they still have Josh Jacobs. They still have a really, really, really good team. I think their offensive line, they got rid of a huge liability in Alex Leatherwood, their left tackle. I think they have a really good offensive line, really good offense in general. Their defense, I feel like sometimes can be underrated. They had Chandler Jones. They added Chandler Jones, and they still have Max Crosby. I like him a lot in this upset. I think Derek Carr will have a great game against Justin Herbert. Could be a shootout, but I think Derek Carr will win and cover. The next game, this one's easy. Nothing need to be said. Giants are bottom 3rd team last year in rush defense. We all know what Derrick Henry's about. My hot pick, my hot take would be that King Henry would break the rushing record. I think it starts with game 1 when the Titans cover and beat the Giants with a -5.5 spread. And to wrap it up, it's Russell Wilson's coming home game after leaving the Seahawks and potentially getting traded in 2018 for the first overall pick. It came out recently that was definitely in the works for the Seahawks to trade Russell Wilson away for the first overall pick in 2018. So Russell Wilson has a lot of momentum going into this game, a lot of motivation to beat his former team and prove to everyone else that Pete Carroll and the Seahawks have been washed for years. I will take them in Russell Wilson's coming home game with a -6.5 spread. Let's go on for your picks though, Dad. Who do you have winning throughout the year in week 1?
Why can you put both our picks up there side by side?
Yeah, I will. Just I want you to go through yours first.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I lost the first one, right? I picked the Rams, and they lost. So
right.
I'm 0-1 already, and you're 1-0. So congratulations, you're ahead of me. Okay, so the next one is Carolina against the Cleveland. I think Carolina will. I'm surprised it's only half a point spread. I think that Carolina is going to beat them pretty soundly because Baker Mayfield is going to be on his game, and he is really incentivized to beat the Browns, who he hates, and I understand why. The Bengals over the Steelers. I agree with you on that. Bengals Super Bowl team last year. And the Steelers, while they made the playoffs, they don't have Roethlisberger anymore, even though he wasn't so great last year. I don't think Mitchell Trubisky is the real deal. And I think the Steelers will be going to Kenny Pickett sometime during the season. The Colts against the Houston Texans. Even though I agree this point spread's pretty big there, but Colts look good to me. I've got them doing very well this year. Their schedule is not that tough, and they have Matt Ryan, who is a former MVP. He's going to be rejuvenated with that team, which has a lot more talent on it than the Falcons had last year. And they have Jonathan Taylor. I mean, you can set up the run and then go to the play action. So I think that the Colts are going to win that game and win many more. Jets against the Ravens. Too much talent on the Ravens for the Jets to win that game. And even though the point spread again 7.5, I think Lamar is going to have an outstanding year this year because he's playing for a contract. So I look for the Ravens to do very well this year. Kansas City, I think they'll beat Arizona. I think Arizona is going to have issues because of the way they dealt with Kyler Murray's contract and kind of abused him a little bit by saying putting in the contract he has to watch at least 4 hours of film every week. Kind of said that his work ethic wasn't what they expected. I think that's going to linger. And I don't think the Arizona is going to have that greatest season this year. So I like the Kansas City with the points there. Green Bay, I think Green Bay will beat the Vikings. I think Green Bay is going to do very well this year. I think their defense is underrated. And I think they're going to play very well on defense, not give up too many points. Even though Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a lot of receivers, he's still good enough, and not only good enough, probably MVP candidate this year. I like the Bucs over the Cowboys. I love Tom Brady. I probably my judgment's a little swayed when the Bucs are playing. I'll probably pick them every game this year, unless they fall apart or have a bunch of injuries. I think they'll win and cover the spread there. The Saints against the Falcons. Yeah, I mean the Saints. I don't think they're anything great this year. Jameis Winston is someone I wouldn't trust to be the starting quarterback, but that's who they got. So I think the Falcons. They're playing for the first pick this year. They really. I don't think they got a whole lot of talent there. I do like Marcus Mariota. I'm not sure what he's got to work with for talent there, but
Right, yeah.
I don't think they're going to win that game. So I'm going with the Saints, even though the point spread's pretty wide. San Francisco, I like San Francisco a lot this year, even though Trey Lance is the starting quarterback. I'm not sure he's going to be in there all that long. I think they were smart to sign Jimmy G to a one-year contract as insurance, because Trey Lance was inconsistent during the preseason, and he really has not played that much football. I think they're expecting too much from him. He may be a great quarterback down the road, but to hand him the keys and this year, when you got a team that is a Super Bowl caliber team, I think they're smart to re-sign Jimmy G for 1 year. And I think the Chicago, they're constantly in a rebuild. I don't know. They're Justin Fields. Yeah. He's a talent. He's got a lot of athleticism. He didn't play that great last year. And they have a new coach. So I think they're not going to win too many games this year. Eagles, I pick them over the Lions. I wouldn't mind if I lost this one and the Lions won, because I'm not a big fan of the Eagles. I don't like Jalen Hurts that well. And I watched him in the playoffs last year. I thought he played very poorly. We'll see what they do. He has a running threat there, and they probably have a pretty good running game. And they went out and got A.J. Brown, so I think they I think they probably have a good team, and they're probably going to win this game, but not a big fan of the Eagles. Patriots against the Dolphins.
I would love to hear what sort of prediction you have for this one.
Eventually, you got to win down in Miami. Eventually, you win a game down there.
Do.
You know, and the odds are with them now. They haven't won one down there for a long time, so I think there's a pretty good chance they're going to win that game. They got 3.5 points to play with there. I want them to win though. I don't want them to just cover.
Right.
So
obviously.
So I think that. I don't know about Miami, whether they're really that good or not. I mean, they picked up Tyreek Hill. That's a great
That's
acquisition.
a huge acquisition.
A huge acquisition, but look who's throwing it to him. I don't think Tua is that great a quarterback. And I think that, they have a first-year coach, so I think it'll be a close game and be fun to watch. And I'm rooting for the Patriots. Hope they win that game, and I'm picking them. The Commanders, I got them winning over the Jaguars just because I think the Jaguars are probably terrible, right? Trevor Lawrence, he threw a lot of interceptions last year. And,
right.
He's only his second year. They got a brand new coach. I think the Commanders have a very good coach in Ron Rivera. Even though they have Carson Wentz as a quarterback, I think we're going to have a good defense. He'll be a game manager for them, and I think they can probably pretty easily beat the Titans. And the Chargers against the Raiders, that's generally a good matchup. Those teams have a lot of history. They played some very close games against one another. Last year, the last game of the season was a back and forth. The Raiders could have let it be a tie. So both could have gotten into the playoffs, and instead they went out and kicked the field goal and won the game. I'm sure the Chargers haven't forgotten that, and so I think they got some incentive there to beat the Raiders. I don't see the Raiders doing that well this year, even though they went out and got some players. They have Josh McDaniel as their head coach. Generally, the people leaving the Patriots to be head coaches don't do very well, and I think probably Josh McDaniels is another example of that. The Titans against the Giants, just too much talent on the Titans. They're going to run it right down their throat.
Probably,
and I think the Giants defense is going to be able to handle King Henry and the other running backs they have, which are pretty good too.
Yeah.
And they have a great offensive line. Even though Ryan Tannehill is their quarterback, they should be able to beat the Giants.
Right.
And then the Broncos against the Seahawks. Again, this is kind of like the Carolina against the Browns, right? You got Russell Wilson going back to Seattle to play, even though I don't think Russell Wilson has an axe to grind with the Seahawks, but he's going to be motivated to play well. And the Seahawks have got nothing this year.
Seahawks are a rough team. Seahawks are a very rough team.
I think this is probably Pete Carroll's last year. So
I would not be surprised if that's his last year.
So those are my picks. I hope I do better over the weekend than I did last night, and we'll just see what happens.
So there's the comparison of both our picks. Our first matchup yesterday when we chose our picks, which we forgot to do on Tuesday's show, was that I chose the Bills, you chose the Rams. And it turns out, so there's only a couple that we absolutely disagree on. That would be, you think the Packers are going to win somehow.
I can't believe the Bills beat them by so many points.
No, yeah,
31-10.
31-10. It was a crazy.
It was only 2.5 points.
Right.
So that says the Bills' defense is better than people think.
Well, the Bills' defense had 7 sacks. 7 sacks yesterday.
Wow.
So it was crazy.
3 interceptions.
3 interceptions, 7 sacks.
But you want to have them on you. Who do you have for your fantasy defense?
For my fantasy defense, I have the Ravens. The Ravens have a tremendous secondary. I don't know why people aren't talking about it more. They have Kyle Fuller. They have Marlon Humphrey. They have Marcus Peters. They have Kyle Hamilton. And there might be another one. But their linebackers are okay. Calais Campbell on the defensive line and Patrick Queen as one of your linebackers. I think they have a very, very good defense. So I picked them, I think, last year, the year before. They had a very, very good run on defense because everyone was healthy. Last year, everyone was unhealthy. They're all injured. But we disagree on only a couple. We disagreed yesterday. So I start off 1-0. You're 0-1. Our differences are the Packers and
I think you're wrong on that one.
I have a lot of faith in Kirk Cousins. He plays up to the Packers. I don't know why he can't play up to everybody, but he plays up to the Packers. And Aaron Rodgers recently has had a rough time on the road. But other than that, the Raiders and the Patriots are the only ones that we disagree on. So
Why do you think the Raiders are going to win?
J.C. Jackson's out. J.C. Jackson, like I've been saying, like I said earlier in the show, he's the number one, or he was last year at least, the number one corner in the NFL. He'll be out for tomorrow, or for Sunday, probably. It's more than likely he'll be done for week 1. You still have Asante Samuel as your cornerback too. He's a pretty good receiver in his second year. I think he'll have a very good year.
Asante Samuel.
Asante Samuel Jr. Yeah, he played.
He's a wide receiver.
No, he's a cornerback.
You just said he'll have a good year receiving.
Sorry, defending.
Okay,
He have a good corner, and they also have Derwin James as well, who just I believe got an extension, a very very big.
I just
extension.
think that Justin Herbert is going to have a very good year, and he has great receivers. So
No, I
think
agree with you.
I
Yeah,
think
no.
they're going to win.
And when they drafted,
And they're
I forgot what
playing
year it
at
was.
the Chargers,
No,
right?
they're playing at Chargers. I understand.
I don't think the Raiders are going to win that game.
I have a lot of faith in Derek Carr.
Right.
But yes, I think Justin Herbert's a phenomenal player.
What about the carryover from the game, the end of the year last year when the Raiders
When the Raiders won?
Could have let them into the playoffs.
They could have,
Just not
yeah.
kicking the field goal.
I mean,
they could have been in the playoffs, and they didn't let them in.
the Chargers didn't stop them. The Chargers gave them an opportunity to win.
I'm sure they're using that as motivation for this game. All right.
But why though? The Raiders had an opportunity to stop them, and then the Chargers were. They said they were fine with letting it go to a tie and have these two teams enter. But the Raiders couldn't stop the Chargers. The Chargers kept pushing down the field and pushing down the field, pushing down the field. They kicked a field goal and ended it. I don't think there'll be much carryover. Last year,
And I think the Chargers their coach made a boneheaded play going forward on 4th down in his own territory and didn't get it. And and the Raiders kicked the field goal on that. That was the 3 points actually. So he lost the game. That was a bad mistake on his part. He should have punted.
well, I forget off the top of my head who the Chargers head coach is, but he's very analytical based.
Yeah, well.
And usually, a lot of the times, it says to
Generally
go for it. So
in your own territory.
No, that's
and it's a playoff
that's wrong.
game. Well, basically, it's a playoff.
Yeah,
game.
it was essentially a playoff game. Yeah, it's win or go home essentially. And the Chargers ended up going home that year. But I said back in, I forget what draft, it might have been 2020, maybe 2019 when Justin Herbert was drafted. I said Justin Herbert, besides Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert is better than Tua, should get drafted over Tua. And it turns out to be right. I understood what Justin Herbert was about, whatever draft he was in. So I fully understand what Justin Herbert's capable of. His first ever start, which he wasn't even supposed to start. Tyrod Taylor had like a collapsed lung or something like the day of the game. Justin Herbert was kind of just thrown in there against Patrick Mahomes. That's what we're talking about, Patrick Mahomes here. And he just gets thrown in, and he goes toe-to-toe essentially the entire game against Patrick Mahomes, who at the time, I believe, just came off of a 5,000-yard season, 50 touchdowns. So it might have been the year after, but it might have been the Super Bowl year, but I don't think it was 2020, I think. But I'm not, off the top of my head, I'm not sure. But his first ever start, he went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes, but Justin Herbert, being a rookie, could not pull away ever so slightly against the Chiefs that year. But Derek Carr, I think his first game last year was against the Ravens, a very, very good win. Derek Carr, I think, is an underrated quarterback. I put him in my top 10 to start off the year, but the list will obviously be fluid. We'll do it. I'll probably update the list every quarter of the season, just so I'm not doing it every single week. But like I said, I think the Raiders, without they're up there without J.C. Jackson, the best cornerback in the NFL. Devontae Adams may or may not eat. Who knows? Hunter Renfrow. He's underrated. People understand what he's about, but Darren Waller, I hope he'll be healthy. He was a top 3 tight end a couple years ago, so I think they'll be very, very successful. Who knows if they'll win against the Chargers though? That was a bit of a reach for me. It was tough voting against Justin Herbert because I do like the Chargers a lot.
After you just talked him up to be one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, now you went against him.
Well, no, because I understand I think Derek Carr will just I will not say outperform him. I think he'll outperform the Chargers.
I think this is what about Josh McDaniel? This is his first game as a head coach for many, many, many years, and he didn't do well as a head coach before. And generally, the Belichick people coming out of that organization don't do well.
Well, that Josh McDaniel who came out of the Patriots organization beat the Patriots at their own game in the preseason this year.
That meant nothing.
Hey, it's something. It has to mean something. Not only did they beat them, they blew them out 23-7. It was was it 23-7 or 23-6? I forget, but it was an absolute disgrace. watching that game. But I have faith in Josh McDaniel. He has a better team
We'll
than he
see.
did.
I hope that
he has a
game's
better
on.
team than he did when he was at the Broncos.
We got DirecTV so we can watch the game.
Yeah, and we will watch the game because I think, you know what? Well, it depends because, we'll probably get the Giants game. There's 425 games, so
Yeah,
we'll
we don't
see.
have to watch that game if we don't want to.
Right, no, I understand. But I'm gonna there's a lot of games that you should keep your eye on. I think, you know what? Obviously, kickoff week 1, the Bills-Rams is definitely a hot one. But speaking of hot ones, let's go into the first episode, I guess, of my hot hand here. I wish I had the topic bar, which I don't here, which is a little bit depressing. But I don't know if this will come up. Is it not coming up, really? That is terrible. I have my hot hand here that I'm trying to get up, but it seems like the graphic won't work, so I'll try to get it up in the meantime. But while I'm doing that, let's talk about... I want to go back to the Bills game very quickly. Very quickly. What surprised me the most, and I don't know if this surprised you, was the loss of like a 37-year-old Andrew... I'm not even sure how... I think Andrew Whitworth might be 40. But the loss of Andrew Whitworth really, really showed itself against that Bills pass rush. Because Von Miller, he was healthy, and he was feasting on the Rams and feasting on Matt Stafford.
Bills have a scary defense. Very good. Yeah.
Which, I mean...
Maybe they'll pull that guy out of retirement. Make him come out of retirement. Because their offensive line didn't look very good last night. They couldn't run the ball at all. Rams. The Rams couldn't run the ball at all.
Cam
They kept
Akers
trying.
ain't what he
They
used to
should
be.
just give it up. Just throw the short passes.
Right. Well, it's difficult when your entire, offense is being shut down, essentially, because, Cooper Kupp will get open. He will catch a tremendous amount of yards. That's a given, okay? Because that's what he did last year, and it seems like he's on pace to do it again this year. But the Rams can't run the ball. You saw that in the Super Bowl. They ran like 24 times for like 40 yards. It was a horrible thing to watch. It was embarrassing. There wasn't really much to do with it, really at all. But yeah, I mean, honestly, we're obviously Patriots fans. We hope the Patriots would obviously win every game now. Do the Patriots have a shot, like, at all in the near future?
Sure.
You really think so?
yeah.
After what you just saw from Josh Allen and the Bills, you really think they still have a shot eventually to
I don't
win
think they're going to
games?
beat the Bills, but that's only 2 games out of the season.
Right, but you might need to face them in the playoffs.
Well, they won't. I don't think they. I think they win 1 game in the playoffs and they don't play the Bills, and then they probably won't go further than that. But that's a long way off, so we'll have to see. Let's see. What are your 5?
All right, let's go. I think it'll
gotta
work
pick
this
it
time.
out?
Yeah, I think so. All right,
you
the
go.
first one, the Harvey hot hand. Which, you know what? I want to get the graphic down. So bear with me while I do this because it's very, very important. It took a lot of time in doing this. I should have had this prepared. My bad. But you know what? We'll just start off. We'll start while I do this in the process. But it's
That graphic looks okay. What's wrong with
no.
it?
I'm trying to do the topic bar, which I'll get done.
Oh.
So the first one, obviously, as you can see, I'm gonna bring up this. Actually, it's wrong anyway. Forget about it. The first one, Panthers at Browns. It's Browns at Panthers. But I'm taking the Panthers plus 5.5. I love that spread. That spread is, you know what? The Panthers were favored at one point, and now all of a sudden they're underdogs. Baker Mayfield's revenge game. Yeah, I'll take that easily. If you're betting on a game, bet on Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield plays his best when people doubt him. That's exactly when you should bet on Baker Mayfield, when people are doubting him. So that's why I chose him and the Panthers for your first pick. The next one in my Harvey hot hand would be the Ravens at -7.5 over the Jets. This is obvious, right? We all understand. Joe Flacco. Yes, it's his return game, versus his old team. I get that. I fully get that. But you saw what I saw against the Giants in the preseason. He lobbed it into a linebacker that was right in front of him for a pick 6. Joe Flacco ain't what he used to be. It's as simple as that. He's playing on the Jets. The Jets right now lost their main offensive lineman. Yes, they have good weapons on defense. They have good weapons on offense. But you have Joe Flacco, who's washed up. He apparently had a great camp. That's the reports were. Had a great camp. It doesn't matter to me. The Ravens are so much better than the Jets. The Jets' one of the weaknesses. The main weakness on defense for the Jets was their rushing defense. Like I said earlier in the show, giving up 133.3 yards per game rushing last year, which is horrible. It was so bad, it was dead last in the NFL. And the Ravens are the best run team in the NFL, led by Lamar Jackson, who, you know what, may need to take it easy a little bit this year based on, his contract situation. My next Harvey hot hand pick would be, yes, this is the third revenge game, comeback game. The third quarterback who is versing his old team, Russell Wilson, beating the Seahawks at a -6.5 spread.
I don't think Russell Wilson views it as revenge.
I think he would review it as yes at all.
I don't think so.
They tried to trade him in 2018 for the first overall pick.
Yeah.
I would think it's revenge.
Well,
the Seahawks suck, and Pete Carroll did nothing for me.
I think he's very motivated to win that game, but not like Baker Mayfield.
Really?
Baker Mayfield has got anger.
No, I understand the Baker Mayfield thing. I understand the Baker Mayfield thing. But I just think, you know what? I Russell Wilson's going back to a team that didn't even want him, right? They traded him away for a lot. I understand that, but they didn't build around him.
Well, I think that score could very well be 31-17.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I chose it, because
maybe Seattle didn't even score. I don't know. The Broncos have a pretty good defense.
They do have a pretty good defense. I originally had 31-10, but I realized that might be a little too low. I think DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett could put up some points. Geno Smith, he's aight. He ain't nothing special. I believe this is the second to last pick. Vikings, Packers. That is a wrong spread, by the way. That's my fault. I didn't change it. I believe that spread, I could just check it right here if we go to the graphics thing. That spread is a +2. Yeah, we'll just stick here.
You really think you get that it's going to be that the Vikings will beat the spread?
Yeah, I do. Well, I think they'll win. So that instantly means they'll beat the spread because they're underdogs. But yeah, no, that spread's wrong. But I still would choose the Vikings over the Packers, still with the score of 28-24. Kirk Cousins, once again, I said this like 3 times in the show already, plays up to the Packers, plays up against Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers ain't that good behind, especially in the fourth quarter. He hasn't done well against road teams very, very recently. He might be like 5-4. Ugly.
I think you're underestimating the Packers defense.
They lost their main linebackers to Darius Smith in the offseason, right? They still have Jair Alexander. I just don't think their offense could keep up. I think it's that simple. I understand. Aaron Rodgers, back-to-back MVPs, doesn't have a lot of turnovers. Like I said, one of my hot takes was that he would have 10+ interceptions this year. And it may not start with... It may not start against the Vikings, so the Vikings don't have a phenomenal defense, but I just think that, you know what? I think Kirk Cousins might be able to outshoot Aaron Rodgers. It might not even be that, because I don't think the offense could put up the numbers. And Aaron Rodgers was complaining all last year about, I don't have enough receivers. Where's my talent? Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, Donald Driver, all these guys he used to play with. And the Packers went out and get Randall Cobb only for Aaron Rodgers in the moment he needs to be amazing. Throws it to him one time in double coverage in the fourth quarter when the game was essentially sealed. Yeah. That's the guy you cried over.
Okay, well, I'm just talking about this year and this game on Sunday.
Yeah, no, I think Dalvin Cook will have a field day. That's what I think. I think Dalvin Cook will have a field day.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing, I think the Vikings, playing at home, that favors them. But I do think, I don't think they're as good as Green Bay. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. And I'll change that graphic right now. I think the last pick for me, or I guess that was the last pick for me. I think
Did you do 5?
I think I have another one that I didn't add here. We'll get that up very, very quickly. I only had 4. Yeah, you're right. We'll bring up the last one because I have it here. Here it is. The 49ers and the Bears. I believe that is a 6.5 spread. I'm taking the 49ers. -6.5 over the Bears. Like I said, the Bears are... I'm not going to call it a retirement home because they're not all old. They're the landfill of NFL receivers. They take up receivers that no other team wants, like N'Keal Harry. The Patriots got rid of him for a 7th-round draft pick. I might still have the graphic here with me, if I could bring it up. I have a list of all their receivers. Let's see if I actually... If I have it here, that's great. If I don't, it is what it is. Which does not look like I do. I do not. They have
I don't think I'd even recognize the name except N'Keal Harry, and I wouldn't know him if he hadn't played for the Patriots.
That's probably true because he hasn't really done anything in his career. I'll bring up the depth chart right now, but it's a lot of just people that no teams wanted. They have Equanimeous St. Brown. They have Villas Jones Jr. They have Darnell Mooney, who's good. I like Darnell Mooney. But you know what? I just don't think he's very, very good. Byron Pringle used to be on the Chiefs. Dante Pettis, who's a journeyman. They have just so many receivers that like it's not good. Their receivers are not good. Justin Fields, I feel somewhat bad for him. In my mock draft actually that I did, I actually had the Patriots trading up to get Justin Fields. So I thought Bill Belichick and Justin Fields could blend well. I'm very happy they got Mac Jones because Mac Jones is essentially
He was the best rookie quarterback last year.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, Davis Mills was second though, surprisingly for the Texans.
Yeah,
but
pretty far behind Mac Jones though.
not as far as you might think. Not as far as you might think. But yeah, that is my first episode or first season, I guess, first take out of 18, 17 hot hands that I'll be doing throughout the NFL season.
We'll see how you do.
I'm very interested to see if I get this right. But those are my picks. Those are my against the spread picks. For this Harvey Hour, I think that essentially wraps it up. Unless you have anything else to mention.
Great show, Nate, and I'm looking forward to this weekend.
It's a very, very exciting weekend. The conclusion of Week 1 will be this Monday when the Broncos and Seahawks battle it out, or more so, Russell Wilson battles it out against the Seahawks. I don't think it'll be much of a battle, though. But yeah, Week 1 starts this Sunday. My name is Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We are the Harvey Hour. We will catch you guys Tuesday for Sunday and Monday's reactions and analysis. Can't get that word out.